Welcome back. China and Japan on Monday launched a high-level consultation mechanism on people-to-people exchanges in Tokyo, Japan. The neighboring countries vowed to push for greater development of people-to-people and cultural exchanges. What does this vow mean on the ground for the two countries that have a history of exchanges dating back more than 2,000 years? And how can new exchanges promote more peace and cooperation? So for more, I'm now joined via Skype by Takesato Watanabe from Kyoto, Japan, Professor Emeritus from Doshisha University, and also in our Beijing studio by Ms. Han Hua, Research Fellow from Chongyang Institute at Renmin University. Welcome to you both. So let me start with Professor Watanabe this time. This consultation mechanism I just mentioned is the latest development between China and Japan since Chinese President Xi Jinping and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe reached consensus during their meeting in Osaka, Japan this past June. But what does this consultation mechanism really mean in everyday terms, and why does this step matter for both countries? Professor.
Japan and China, these are two great nations, not only in Asia, but also in the world. And Mr. Prime Minister of Japan recognized this. He has to continue or further develop the better relations between the two countries. Usually, politically, sometimes they have some struggles, but in the long run, the basis of the two nations, exchanges should be based on the peoples of the two nations, and also to promote the cultural exchanges between the two, like sports and also the dances, music, and like that. Those, exchanges strengthen the relations between the two. So our Prime Minister and government, the people agreed to invite Mr. Xi Jinping, President of your country, as the state guest, and the meeting with our emperor will be arranged. It was already, broadcasted very openly as a big issue in Japan.
Yeah, we're expecting that visit to take place next spring. But Ms. Han, let me bring you into this. What next steps will be taken by both countries to realize these plans?
Well, in between this dialogue or meeting between President Xi Jinping and the Japanese Prime Minister in the last June, and the upcoming next spring's state visit by the Chinese government, Chinese state leader, I foresee there will be really concrete steps to be taken to fulfill the mechanism. For example, like the professor just mentioned, that there are many areas to be taken exact and concrete steps, such as the tourism, such as the people-to-people exchange in culture, exchange in movie, in musical. In particular, I'm more interested in the exchange between the young peoples from the two countries, as well as women-to-women dialogues under this mechanism. You see, the mechanism is designed by the two leaders, and it needs to be taken these concrete steps to fulfill that.
And I want to look at the significance of people-to-people and cultural exchanges through some figures. Last year, the number of yearly visits between the two countries, Chinese and Japanese people, reached 12 million. And to compare, in 1972, when bilateral relations were normalized, the number totaled less than 10,000 a year. So dramatic increase there. And according to official data, in 2018, more than 1,400 direct flights between the two countries per week were operated. The number of sister cities also exceeded 250 pairs. Ms. Han, what do figures like these say about the importance of people-to-people exchanges to you?
Oh, well, this definitely signifies the past exchanges. And this people-to-people exchange, in my opinion, is one of the features between the two countries' relationship during the ups and downs in the past. We noticed that even despite the ups or downs between the political and economic relationship between the two countries, people-to-people exchange never stopped. For example, we have the saying of the hot economic relations but cold politics. There was this time, but there was also the time when people still going to Japan, or Japanese visitors are still coming to China when the political relations are not that good. But this cannot stop people-to-people exchange, and this can be regarded as one of the most significant features between the two countries' relations.
And Professor Watanabe, your thoughts on this? How do you see the role played by people on the ground? Why is it important? And how do these kind of exchanges translate to higher level cooperation?
If the people of Japan or the people of China, if they support their own government by the heart, then you see this kind of situation makes the political leaders easier to exchange, to express very frank opinions. Now you see Japan and China must see for a long future how to strengthen two the countries' relations. And this is the starting point between Japan and China. So all the people of Japan are very happy to know that the decision of your state visit of your president has been decided today.
And Professor Watanabe, in his congratulatory letter, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said he hopes to build a Japan-China relation that fits the needs of the new era and open up a new future for bilateral ties. And on several other occasions, Abe said that the ties between the two countries have entered a new stage, a new era, and a new dimension. I mean, to you, what's new about China-Japan relations, and why now? Why now making this kind of statement, Professor Watanabe?
Historically, you see, two countries, Japan and China, has been connected, or rather, you see, Japanese side learned a lot from China, but several decades of time, because of the difference of the political system, hindered sometimes the relations between the two. But now you see Japanese leaders and Japanese people, and also Chinese leader and Chinese people, I think they welcome the stage of the deeper mutual understanding by the exchanges of culture and human beings. Of course, the tourism is a part of that, but more deeply and fundamentally, you see, the belief, mutual belief, dependence is more important.
Yeah. And over the past 20 years, the development of China-Japan relations has been difficult given historical and territorial disputes, but the two sides have been working to improve their relations. In June this year, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe met during the G20 summit in Osaka, Japan, and agreed on a 10-point consensus to jointly promote the healthy development of bilateral relations. So, Ms. Han, what does a stable and stronger China-Japan relationship mean for Asia?
Not only for Asia, but also for the world. The Japan and China relationship dated back to over 2,000 years ago, like we just discussed. And people-to-people exchange during this period of time never stopped. And we shared the same Chinese characteristics, Chinese characters, and we even eating the same rice and drink the teas. So we have the solid foundation of bringing this kind of relationship to a next stage, especially in the context of this the profound change in the unseen 100 years in this period of time. So because of this solid relationship built in the past, but before last year, the Japanese Prime Minister or Chinese Prime Minister hasn't exchanged any visits in the past 7 years. So that was the down period of China-Japan relations. So this is of critical importance for the two countries now to have this mechanism to move the relationship to the next level through this kind of mechanism, through the consensus reached by the two leaders.
Yeah, it is a very important relationship. But Professor Watanabe, what obstacles going forward may prevent the two countries from stronger cooperation, and how can those areas be addressed?
There are two levels of understanding. The first one is understanding through the media. The second stage is the understanding between direct exchanges of the people. For instance, you see, in 1971, we had the World Table Tennis Championships. After this, you see, the people of Japan came to understand Chinese people more and more deeply. frankly speaking, I was one of the counselors of Japan Table Tennis Championships. I visited, you see, China. I was given the chance to see Prime Minister Chongyang at that time. Since then, America, Japan, and China, you see, came to be friendly. It was the epoch-making period. So this kind of people-to-people or cultural exchanges, they will be the basis of the understanding of the different organizations.
Ms. An, what are the responsibilities that must be jointly taken by the two countries?
I think if the two peoples of the two countries can value the values of history and of our tradition, such as the Confucius philosophies, as the love, the affection, the justness that we both people are cherishing these days, even these days, then the obstacles and difficulties can be resolved under this mechanism.
Yeah, we might share more similarities and differences than we think. Thank you very much. Via Skype by Takesato Watanabe from Kyoto, Japan, Professor Emeritus from Doshisha University, and also in Beijing studio by Ms. Han Hua, Research Fellow from Chongyang Institute at Renmin University. Thank you so much. Great to talk to you all. So that does it for this edition of The Point. And as always, follow us on Facebook and Twitter using the handle The Point with LX. Download the CGTN app to watch our show on your mobile devices or go to YouTube and look for CGTN The Point. Thank you for watching. You've got The Point.